Imagine you could pull your great-great-great-grandmother out of a tribal settlement roughly 12,000 years ago and give her a full tour of your life for one single day. Watch her face. Not because she would be confused by your phone, or your car, or the fact that your apartment hovers 40 floors above the ground, but because of everything else, the mundane things. The things so ordinary to you, you stopped noticing them a century ago. She would not be afraid of your technology. She would be afraid of you. Because to her ancient eyes, you are not living. You are surviving something. You just do not know what. These are the things modern society has completely normalized that would have made your ancestors genuinely, deeply alarmed. Thing number 1. Sleeping alone. Let us start with where you slept last night. Alone. In a room. Behind a locked door. In the dark. For roughly 200,000 years, no human on Earth did that voluntarily. Harvard anthropologist Carol Worthman spent decades studying sleep patterns across ancient and surviving pre-industrial cultures. Her conclusion was stark: solo sleeping, the kind you consider completely ordinary, is one of the most radical departures from ancestral human behavior ever recorded in science. Your ancestors slept in groups, not because they lacked square footage, because the sound of breathing nearby was the biological signal your nervous system needed to fully, genuinely relax. The absence of another body nearby did not mean peace and quiet. It meant something had gone terribly wrong. Today, 28% of Americans sleep alone every single night. We call it privacy. Your ancestor would look at that statistic, look at your empty bed, and quietly wonder what you did to get exiled from the tribe. Thing number 2. Sitting still for 8 hours a day. Your body is an engineering marvel built to cover 7 to 9 miles daily. That is not a fitness goal. That is a biological baseline. Studies on the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on Earth, show they walk an average of 5 miles every day without trying. Movement is not exercise to them. It is simply Tuesday. Your ancestors never went for a walk. They never stopped walking. Then the Industrial Revolution arrived, and someone who clearly never asked a single spine decided the ideal configuration for a human being was sitting in a chair, facing a wall, for 8 consecutive hours. Harvard professor Daniel Lieberman, who literally wrote the book on the evolution of the human body, has called modern sedentary life biologically bizarre. Not as a colorful metaphor. He means your skeleton is, at this precise moment, confused. Your spine was not built for a chair. Your hips were not built for a car seat. The World Health Organization now lists physical inactivity as the 4th leading cause of death globally. Your ancestor walked 9 miles. You got up to refill your water bottle. She would not understand what you are conserving your energy for. Thing number 3. Eating 3 meals on a fixed schedule. Here is a fact the cereal industry would prefer you never learn. The 3 meals a day schedule, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, was largely constructed in the 19th century. Industrial factories demanded synchronized breaks. Workers needed to eat at the same time so production did not stop. And breakfast as the most important meal of the day? That phrase was popularized by John Harvey Kellogg, a man who, it should be noted, had considerable amounts of cereal to sell. For most of human history, people ate when food existed. Sometimes that meant a feast after a successful hunt. Sometimes that meant 2 days of nothing. Their bodies were metabolically flexible, designed to run on stored energy, unbothered by the concept of a lunch break, perfectly capable of going hours without an artisanal snack. Today, the average person eats 3 to 6 times daily, on a strict clock, regardless of actual hunger. And when someone skips a meal intentionally, we now call it intermittent fasting, as if we invented something ancient and revolutionary. Your ancestor would stare at your meal schedule, then stare at your kitchen, then stare at you. You just ate 4 hours ago. What happened? Where is the emergency? Thing number 4. Consuming sugar every single day. Your brain has a reward system designed to produce intense, almost irrational pleasure at the taste of sweetness. The reason is survival. In the ancestral environment, sweetness meant ripe fruit. Ripe fruit meant dense calories. Dense calories meant life. Finding sugar in a forest 50,000 years ago was a genuine windfall, and your brain was wired to celebrate it explosively. because there was no guarantee when it would happen again. The problem is that your brain never evolved a mechanism to know when to stop, because enough was never a problem your ancestors had. Today, the average American consumes 17 teaspoons of added sugar per day. Research published in Nature Neuroscience confirmed that sugar activates the brain's dopamine pathway, the same reward circuit involved in addictive substances. Your ancestor encountered honey or wild berries a handful of times per season. It was a miracle. It was rare. Now it is in your coffee, your bread, your pasta sauce, the yogurt marketed as heart-healthy, and the granola bar you ate because you were trying to eat less sugar. She would walk through your supermarket in complete silence, not amazed by the abundance. Amazed that you were somehow still hungry. Thing number 5. Living surrounded by strangers. In 1992, Oxford anthropologist Robin Dunbar published a theory that has since become one of the most referenced findings in evolutionary psychology. Studying the relationship between primate brain size and social group complexity, he identified a hard cognitive ceiling. The human brain can maintain stable, meaningful social relationships with approximately 150 people. Not 1,000, not 500, only 150. Your ancestors lived this truth completely. A tribe of 50 to 150 people, everyone known, everyone's history understood, everyone carrying a shared story. Today, you live in cities of millions, surrounded by strangers at every hour, expected to behave socially and calmly around people you will never see again, and genuinely uncertain why you feel a persistent low-grade exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to fix. Your brain is running village software. You have installed it in a city of 8 million. Dunbar's research suggests you have roughly 5 people you would call in a genuine crisis, 15 close friends, and 50 people you actually care about. Everything else, the commuters, the strangers, the followers, is faces your ancient brain quietly, constantly categorizes as potential threats, and it never turns that calculation off. Your ancestor never felt lonely in a crowd because she was never in